Good evening. I just finished watching a movie here. It's called Acceptable Risks. With Brian Dennehy, he was the main actor in the movie. 1986 when the movie came out. And it's essentially about a chemical plant in a small town, I think in the Midwest. I forgot where. And it's probably one of the biggest employers in the region. It's kind of like when they build prisons out in the middle of nowhere. Everybody works there. And so they get an order to start working around the clock. And they have to break rules. They have to break all kind of safety rules to try to get it done, try to close it out. And I think they said the movie was kind of like based upon this Bhopal accident happened in India back in the 80s, 84 I think. Yeah, 84. It was like 1,000 people died or 1,000 people died out there. And that's why they made it. And that's not how I saw it. I wasn't even alive then. Okay? I wasn't even alive at that time. But this movie had a real, it really touched me. I think it really brought home to me how dangerous capitalism can be. And looking at this movie in the aftermath of this deal that Trump he's passed a bill where evidently these corporations that bring in pork and stuff, the USDA is not going to have to inspect it. That the corporation will have to inspect it themselves. I think that is just totally reckless and irresponsible. We just had a recall a little while ago. They said it was salmonella in the cake mix. I remember when they were having the recalls on the peanut butter back in the day and lettuce, and some of these corporations are bringing in meat from overseas. Yeah, they're gonna inspect it. They're not gonna be nothing big tomorrow, okay? Because Trump is going to probably made some deal with people that, okay, I'm gonna relax the rules, but you still have to pretend to be doing something good. So for the next 5 years or 4 years or whatever, nothing will happen. Only takes one time. And this is completely reckless. I don't want to don't talk too long about that. But this movie, I kind of compared and contrasted to that. And some other things Trump is doing, that he's trying to lower the restrictions on radioactivity in the air and the water, things like that. Obama was doing something like that too. That's a real problem. That's a real problem, and that's a real concern for me. This movie started out, this old man, safety guy, he wound up dying. And this woman, black woman, that worked in the city council was trying to make pamphlets to warn the people, how you might want to have to prepare. You might want to have a gas mask. You might want to, most folks don't look up. Most folks don't think they can live somewhere 20 years and never even know what's up the street. You got a lot of folks like that. That's why I learned when I was over the road. You got a lot of folks that work at a business for 10 years, can't tell what's across the street to save their life. I could come up there and say I got $1 million check, and they could not tell you a restaurant across the street or a restaurant 2 blocks down. There's a lot of folks like that. A lot of folks up north, yes, a lot of folks like this. They don't know nothing. They don't know. They know the job, and that's it. A lot of those kind of people. I don't want to say specialized. It's just, what do you call it? Compartmentalized. That's a word I don't use often. They compartmentalize. A lot of folks like that. They don't question politics. They don't care. They just want to sit up here and watch NASCAR or watch football and get drunk and eat fried chicken. A lot of folks like that. This movie really touched me because people think that being a progressive or being a critic of capitalism automatically means that you believe that there should be more government. I'm saying it right or not. First of all, as a black man, I don't trust the U.S. government. Under Obama, under anybody. Understand that. I don't trust the U.S. government. They gave like 200 black men syphilis, man. Smallpox, blankets. They've sprayed like chemical weapons out there in St. Louis and places to see how it disperses. I don't trust the U.S. government. Being a socialist or whatever has nothing to do with that. As a black man, I'm always going to be kind of suspicious of the U.S. government, of the West, period. And that's natural. Like a person has raped you or something, you're never going to trust them. You shouldn't. Who's going to rape your family? I don't give you $50 million, I'm still not going to trust you. Now, in the movie, if the safety guy died, they started trying to take steps to be safe, but it was too late. And I thought that was interesting because it's almost like once they started doing that stuff, like I think one of the tanks had water, and the chemical they put in there, when they mix it with water, it foams up, it'll blow up, and kill people. It's like once they made that reckless decision, there wasn't no going back. Wasn't no going back. And the dude, they hit balls, his little daughter died. And the black woman, the city council, was trying to warn the people her mother lived. Her mother was out in the country. And I guess that's supposed to be some kind of sweet, thing that if you do good, then I don't believe that. I don't buy that. I don't buy that. Because the black woman could have made the pamphlets. And then the white man that she worked with was like, oh, I don't want you to hurt your career. She didn't make the pamphlets. And thousands died. When I was younger, I might have been like, oh yeah, she tried. But to me, it's a test of integrity. See, that's Snowden. That's Julian Assange. That's WikiLeaks. That's what it's about. It's standing up for what you know to be right. Even if you might lose it all. Stand up for something, though you may lose it all. You may lose everything. Doesn't matter. You know it's wrong. Everybody's just a CY, cover your ass society. Cover your ass, is the culture. No. You stand up for what's right because you know it's right. That's what keeps America free. It isn't all these militaries and tanks and drones and bombs and that's not it. It's integrity. It's people who are willing to step out and say, look, man, I'm gonna lose my job for this. I'm gonna lose my house for this. I'm gonna lose my marriage for this. But I gotta step up. I gotta let the world know this is wrong. I can't be a part of it. My integrity won't allow me. The way I was raised, that's what keeps America free. Not whistleblower groups, not whistleblower protection, none of that. That's why it's so important when you know to speak out, because in the next person, 10, 20s on the road that sees it's going to be like, damn, Joshua did this. I'm not alone. You know what I mean? I'm not alone. A lot of folks have done this who have the Pentagon Papers and things like that. Daniel Ellsberg that risked it all. You ever think there's a lot of nuts out here? Remember that lady Valerie Plum that came out and proved that the American government had no proof on Iraq. There was no proof that uranium had been sent to Iraq. None of that. She was getting phone threats, man. She was getting threats to her house behind that. You got a lot of nuts out here who are really fascistic, really corporate centered. But it's crazy because they don't even get no. What get me is if you talking about like a black man, and I'm saying something against Obama, that's one thing, because he stands to get something. But if you're just a fascist and you're supporting corporations, you're a fool. Because you'll die like I will if they leak something in the water and your kid get cancer. They'll die like mine would. No difference. I'm just out here trying to be like, hey, we need to look in, we need to protect ourselves. You're not strong because, listen, let me tell you something. There's some of these people out here. Just because you're too ignorant and too uninformed to pay attention to what's going on in the world around you, it don't make you stronger than me. You're not stronger than me because you want to be ignorant. Okay? You're not stronger than me because you just want to tune out and turn off. You're not stronger than me. I'm not weak for wanting to know what's in my water. I'm not weak for wanting to know what's in my air. I'm not weak for wanting to know these things. It doesn't make me weak. Okay? It's called being independent. It's called being sentient and thinking for oneself. Getting off subject. But Great movie, great movie. And people were talking about how, oh, you know, it was a creepy movie and the dude was trying to flirt. Listen, man, Brian Dennehy was playing a rich white man living out in the Midwest in the 80s. You know, this weird stuff went on back then. He didn't have a lot of friends. See, I guess from me being in trucking, I'm more used to this. How you have people out there in the Midwest who don't have no friends, don't have no family. There's no clubs out there. You know what I mean? There's especially homosexuals. There's no clubs, or historically there haven't been. You know, so you know those people they put their all in their job. They maybe do very well at their job, but they wind up being people that don't have friends, other than work friends, that don't have activities other than like going out to the bar, maybe like a sports team. They got a lot of folks out there like that. That's very common. Nothing abnormal about that. They have like I used to go to a place in Tennessee, Rock 10. I think it's Rock 10 paper plant. And they had like all these baseball fields out there. Yeah, because there's nothing else out there. There's nothing else out there. So that's, to us that's weird because I live in university. There's a lot of things I can do right here, right now, if I wanted to. But living in those areas, you don't have that diversity. Especially back then, you don't have that diversity. So to you, that's weird, but it's not. It's a person it's like a dude that doesn't have social skills. He's got money. He doesn't have social skills. Now, people around he doesn't have that connection to the community that you'd have if you were, out here and going to this restaurant and going here. He's a guy, old rich white man. He's set in his ways. He's just trying to make as money for the business as possible. I get it. But I thought the movie was on point. I thought the movie, it was very, very concise. Like I said, my thing about the black woman is, just because you tried and the last minute you didn't stand up for integrity, that don't then make you a moral character. You understand that? There is no, when it comes to public health and public safety, there is no, no, dude. No. Not how it works. I mean, you can, and I'd say really, she can't prosecute it for it. She didn't know. But I would just say, that wouldn't mean nothing. Now, if she tried to put stuff out there and didn't work, or they shut her up, or they silenced it, that'd be one thing. I think it's also a lesson of how black people that get in positions of authority, that don't then necessarily mean that makes things better for other people because they're black. Because if they're caught up in the system, like the guy said, I don't want you to lose what you worked hard for, because of you doing these pamphlets and stuff. And she was like, oh no, okay, she canceled it. So he scared her. He freaked out, basically. I wish there was a conclusion to that film. I looked on the internet. There's no ending to it. The ending was he found his daughter. And I guess, in reality, that's probably the worst thing that can happen is his granddaughter died. Like his daughter had been blinded and shit. They didn't really go into the conclusion of it. Was he prosecuted or whatever? I'd like to find out what happened. But it wasn't that kind of film. It's a film just to make you think about, I guess, in a superficial way, these businesses out here that have all these chemicals and stuff. Like when I go out there to the mail, driving from Brookshire to West Point, there's a plants out there. I think about what they got out there. But I think the deeper film in it, the deeper ideal or the deeper thought in the movie is reckless capitalism, reckless industrial capitalism, and really how our lives don't matter when it comes to those businesses. Black lady wanted to find out what were they making, and fire chief was like, he didn't know and he didn't care, and he was like, we're under them, basically. We don't have any real training with chemicals and stuff like that. They didn't even know what was being made in their backyard. And what do they say? Ignorance is bliss. In that case, it wasn't. Those folks asphyxiated. They choked to death. That's one of the worst ways you can die, man. You realize that when you can't breathe and you suffocate to death? That's one of the worst. And then the shit probably like burning your skin, burning your eyes. That was probably a hellish death, man. I'd be choking to death on your own fluids. And I don't even talk people who are in the hospital for something who get touched by it. I think it's a lesson of what laissez-faire capitalism can do. People would talk about libertarianism. What would they say to that? What would they say to that? I don't believe government has the best idea for everything, but what about that? Corporation, they pretty much do whatever they want. That's laissez-faire capitalism. Even the fire chief, like, hey, look, we just let them do what they want. Because they're in a little town out in the middle of nowhere. Nobody looking at them. You know, somebody died, we'll throw some money at them. That's why I say for libertarianism, that's just white guys jacking off. That's just white guys extolling white pride for the most part. Not in a racist way necessarily. That's all it is. It's white people who are basically saying, guess what? I don't care about how capitalism hurts people. That's what libertarianism is. I hate to say it. That's what it is. Out of all other stuff, talking about the drug war and everything, capitalism goes back to some very basic principles. We're white. We've got money. We don't care about blacks or anybody else. We want to keep making our money, and we want to have little control over our life. That's possible. You know, that's what it is. What can libertarianism do in the face of climate change? What can it do in the face of what I just talked to you about? Industrial companies who take giant risks and put thousands of lives in danger. Nothing. Especially when the people don't even know. They can't even make a decision whether, well, this is kind of bad. No. This is capitalism. I think that movie, when I first seen that, when I watch real old movies, I gotta kind of get in the groove to watch it, because, you know, technology and stuff is so different now. But it has a good message. Acceptable risks. It has a good message because the message is, hey, your lives don't matter, man. And if you're living in these little areas and they decide that we're gonna run the clock, we're gonna run operations around the clock and take risks to make a little bit more money, and guess what? You're in the crosshairs, baby, and you won't even know it. And that's the scariest thing about it. You won't even know it. You won't wake up one morning, or you might asphyxiate, drown in your own bodily fluids, expose any kind of test. I mean, I look at the CDC, see the things they do. That kind of concerns me. Some of that, you know, the fact that it could get out, we could be exposed to Spanish flu, or there's a lot of different diseases that were never cured, guys. Pandemics just ended. They just died off. It just killed so many people. Just burned itself off, kind of like. People say that they think that now we're more technologically savvy. We have ways of getting our information quicker than you had back in the day because everybody's got a phone, you know. Everybody's got one of these pretty much, you know. The communication devices out here to get the word out. I agree. But the world is a lot more populated now. I think that people aren't prepared for a pandemic. People aren't prepared for a major disaster. They're not. I hate to say it. We're not. We're really not. We're really a soft country. We've been in war for all this time. We've been tearing the world up, but we're not ready. Peace, y'all.